transitioning on to another thing that you've been a real expert student for many years, politics. How is politics different today from your time in the House and the Senate?
Well, it's depressing. It's depressing today, and it's easy to look back over my shoulder and say, gee, the good old days. Everybody does that. The good old days, the good old days. And I'm kind of like a Miniver-Chibi child of scorn, and looking back and saying that everything was good there, but not today.
But what changed?
What's changed? So much has changed. Technology has changed.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that we've democratized knowledge. That has changed. And Sully Sullivan, sitting here in the front row, and I were having a sandwich today at lunchtime and talking about how hard. His uncle is now a senator from the state of Alaska. And I was asking him, how's it going? And just to think about how tough it is to be in politics today, where you have this brilliant and magnificent thing called the internet, and it's a giant river flowing with information. It's also a sewer. It's also a sewer in which there's no filter anymore. And anyone can and does say anything they want without restriction. Much of it hate-filled. Much of it without any responsibility for sourcing. Much of it simply polemics and hate-filled speech. And so you're living in a world in which we become more polarized, but we've also become democratized in the sense that everybody has one now. I don't have my iPhone, but it's over here.
You haven't showed off your iWatch yet.
I haven't showed it. I have it on, only because I'm always leaving my phone behind, and this thing will tell me when I leave it behind. But how do you develop a consensus in a world in which everybody now has an opinion and can express that opinion and drive your poll numbers in a nanosecond up or down with misinformation and disinformation? So how do you function in a world like this? This is true not only for us, it's true for any other democracy. The issue of governance today in democratic societies, how do you hold the center together? I usually end up quoting from Yeats. He talks about turning and turning in the widening gyre. The falcon can no longer hear the falconer. Things fall apart, the center can no longer hold. Mm-hmm. And then you talk, the worst are full of passion and intensity, while the best are lacking in all conviction. And you say, well, okay, I think that's ISIS, right? They're full of passion and intensity, and where are the best? Where's the conviction? And I must tell you, I travel a great deal to many parts of the world, and I like to be a promoter for the good old USA. And it's becoming increasingly hard for me to say, we want you to be like Mike. And they say, Mike can't make a decision anymore. Mm-hmm. Mike doesn't lead anymore. Mike is paralyzed, dysfunctional, etc. And they say, you want me to be more like you? Come over here to, let's say, Abu Dhabi, or to Qatar, or to wherever. And they say, we're making decisions, and you're not making decisions. And this, to me, is the great tragedy that we're facing, that it becomes harder and harder to build a consensus around the center, because the people who are dominating our politics today tend to be more in the right or left wings. And I've always been of the opinion that politics is played between the 40-yard lines. Mm-hmm. If you start hanging in the end zone, left or right, you can't govern. So most people are somewhere close to the center. They're either slightly right of center or slightly left of center. And whenever you drift too far in the other direction, the opposite direction, you lose the ability to do things. I think that's the danger we're faced right now. We're becoming very polarized. And traditionally, the thought is, well, we can always get back to the center. I'll be over here on the right for the Republicans, I'll be over here on the left for Democrats, and then once the primaries are over, I'll get back toward the center. It's becoming harder because of the information. Now everybody can see what you're saying, what you're doing, and it's recorded online at every moment. So it's harder to do it. I think it's very difficult in our society, and it'll be difficult to change until there's a real serious crisis. That crisis is out there looming, not only in asteroids, but in national debt. We have an $18 trillion debt, and it's climbing by 300 or 400 billion every year. So that's an asteroid coming at us, financial, fiscal asteroid, I should say. So it's going to be difficult. We've seen that with the president trying to get trade promotional power. I guess the most recent thing is he got something today or yesterday out of the House. But it's hard. It's just harder than it used to be.